Okay, so while I'm figuring this piece out, we'll get going. I want to welcome everybody to the community um, briefing. We're here because there's so many things been going on with COVID that felt it necessary, as well as a business coach, and I have a talk show on Friday afternoons called The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We were on hiatus, and so we're back. So we have a show tomorrow, 3 o'clock on YouTube,
Okay.
and excited about that because we are going into our fourth year on air. So on July 8th, we will be on air for 4 years. Yay!
Congratulations.
Not easy producing a show for 4 years, but it's cool. It's been going real well. So I want to welcome everybody that is here. Thank you for coming out. We have people still coming in. And today I'm excited because I have Miss Angela Gibson Shaw co-hosting with me. Welcome, Miss Angela, and she's going to tell you all about herself. In the meantime, so today we're going to talk about, we have an incredible guest, Mr. Leon Brooks, and we're going to talk about him shortly. We just got a lot of stuff going on. We have COVID, we have PPP, we have some weekly changes to the PPE loan forgiveness. So Angela's going to talk about that. Of course, we're going through civil unrest right now in our own communities, but hopefully change is a coming. We need to all vote in November because it's imperative to our health and our business life. There's some other things going on. I think we need to, I don't know if you guys heard this morning, but the president is going to have his first rally, and it's going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Juneteenth. How about that? Yeah. So I think we need to have a counterpunch for that, and we need to be making sure we're on the same day rallying to vote, go out and vote to our community. It's very important. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Angela, and I am very honored and pleased to have you to co-host with me today.
All righty, good morning. And I'm excited to be here to co-host with you. Again, I want to thank BBA and Recycling Black Dollars for convening this very important weekly conversation. There's so much going on, and information changes and moves very, very fast. So thank you for taking time to gather the community to talk about these important issues and allow and create a place that allows us to discuss them in a safe space, I guess, if you will. My name is Angela Gibson Shaw, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, better known as GLAAACC. And at our Chamber of Commerce, our organization is devoted and created to support and the growth and development of Black-owned businesses. And we do that through our advocacy, our alliances, technical assistance programs, and we have a lot of tools in our toolkit to ensure a vibrant Black business community, if you will. I wanted to take a few minutes and just kind of do an update of where we are. I was on a conference call this morning, and maybe I've started hearing it a couple of days ago, that we're dealing with a double pandemic. I guess we're in a double pandemic, if you will. That of COVID-19 and all of the issues surrounding that, as well as now the recent unrest protests and the looting and the Band-Aid being pulled off the scab of racism, but also the global support of it. And I've heard conversations about how this may feel a little different this time. It feels like there is hope that some things will change. And so I think that the Black community needs to be out front with affecting that change. So let me just share a couple of news tidbits that I have here that I've collected for you. The first one is a joint statement put out this week on Monday by the SBA about the new enhanced and some of the changed rules of the Paycheck Protection Program. It's now called the Flexibility Act. That's another section, another part of it. And the president signed off on this Flexibility Act on Monday. And some of the key changes to PPP is that they have lowered the requirements from 75% of a borrower loan proceeds that can be forgiven to 60. And I'm sure Crystal will be able to weigh in about the implications to that. I was informed this morning that there is $130 billion still left. And so those of us that weren't able to get in on the first or second or third round or had our applications rejected, some of the dust has died down now. So I would encourage everyone that's in need of some of these funds to apply. However, the new rules confirm that June 30th, 2020 remains the last date on which a PPP loan application can be approved. So again, if you do plan to apply for these loans, you've got to do that before the end of the month. And so if you want to go to some websites, I'll put this should be on the GLAAACC website. And I don't know what's the way, Crystal, that we share some of this information with our community and those on the call. They can talk about some other.
After the call, we're broadcasting live on Facebook, but as well as I send the recording to everyone that signed up. And then with any attachments that we have, I'll forward that out as well to everyone.
Okay, so we should include, and I'll make sure you get the copy if you don't have it already, of the new SBA press release. And so per our good friend again, Kenneth Crawford, there's $130 billion left. And so please find a financial institution, bank, or a CDFI that can help you file an application if indeed you are in need of one. Well, I guess Los Angeles, the county, is moving into phase 3 of our reopening. And so now restaurants and other retail shops and other types of businesses are opening. I saw on Kaiser's website, they've got a 98-page playbook that outlines how businesses should open per the CDC guidelines and the LA County guidelines. And then so that would be a great resource for small businesses that are going to reopen. And it outlines all of the issues that you need to be concerned with and how you unroll and roll out a fair reopening, especially for your employees. And it also talks about, I believe, the liability associated with that. So you want to make sure there's a fair rollout of how you treat your employees related to that. And then also it helps you understand if you're returning to an environment, what you want to look out for to make sure that your employer is looking out for your safety as you return to work. So I can send you that link as well. Kaiser just produced that, a nice playbook on reopening your business or returning to work. Also in the headlines, that's an Act ACA 5. As you know, that was the ordinance that's rolling through Sacramento that seeks to repeal Prop 209. So the good news is on Wednesday, it passed through the Assembly and it's now on its way to the Senate. And so I think this is great timing, and I'm hopeful that it will pass and that we will now be able to bring back goals and requirements to ensure that minorities, women-owned businesses, there are requirements on corporations to be able to ensure that they do business at an appropriate level. And so we'll keep a lookout on that. Also, Metro has unveiled their small business transit-oriented community recovery loan fund. And so they have $850,000 available to loan to small businesses that are located a quarter of a mile on a major transit stop. And so we think about the Inglewood area, west, and so all the businesses that are a quarter of a mile located from the Crenshaw LAX rail alignment are applicable to apply and meet the criteria. And so the application opened June 9th. What's today, the 11th? And it closes on June 19th. So I know this is a small window for a particular kind of a group, but I just wanted to bring all the information that I could about, you know, the funds and resources that are available for our community to recover. I was also listening to a Congressional Black Caucus Foundation conference call this morning, and they talked about the health footprint of COVID-19 and some of the footprints that we will be dealing with. Of course, we've dealt with the deaths, the inequality, the high number of deaths of African Americans. And now we also dealt with the resource shortages and how that led to even more deaths of the African Americans. Now we're getting ready to move into the issues of those that will have chronic conditions as a result of that. You may have had a small, you may have had a little health problem, but if you had anything dealing to do with COVID-19, you may now have a chronic condition as a result of it. And then we know, just being Black in America, there's a lot of chronic conditions, and the inequities of our environment also contribute to that. Then, of course, we will also feel the economic impact. That's another footprint of this COVID. And then finally, the mental stress and burnout and mental illness that we will all probably all, maybe not all, experience on the back end. End of the day, you know how I came on and said, oh, I'm exhausted. And so we all kind of like, oh yeah, we are. But no, there's some people that really are exhausted and don't have a job, don't have resources, don't have funds, can't see a way out. And so we need to be mindful and gather our resources around the economic impact, the burnout, and the mental trauma that will soon follow as we wait for a vaccine for COVID-19. So that's some of the news around COVID-19, but I wanted to share briefly some news around the civil unrest. Civil unrest, the recent unrest. I don't know if it's silver. That's the silver unrest.
There you
That's
go.
what this is all about, right?
Yes.
It's the silver unrest. We have now seen a number of corporations step up to pledge support. FedEx is giving $1 million to small businesses. And so if you go on their website, they've committed $1 million to provide grants for small businesses in the United States. Whether you're making the move to selling or shipping online, or you're ramping up your safety and cleanliness measures to keep your customers and employees safe, they want to be there to help. And so I would encourage, this is a great time now for small business organizations like GLAAACC and Recycling Black Dollars and BBA. It's a great time for us to also apply for funds so we can help our small business members. It's also a great time for small nonprofits that operate in this space to also go, and it also nonprofits that work in the social services space. So FedEx is committed to $1 million. Bank of America has announced $1 billion and a 4-year commitment to support economic opportunity initiatives. And so they announced that they were going to be making this commitment to additionally support local communities that address economic and racial inequality. And they're going to accelerate that with support of $1 billion over 4 years. I've seen some others, Microsoft and Uber. The Uber CEO pledged $1 million for social justice groups. So if you are a nonprofit and you operate in that space, I encourage you to dust off and update your best proposal and submit that to all of these corporations that are pledging now their support, and they want to stand up with us now. Facebook has pledged $10 million. I'm not sure if that's cash or ads, Facebook ads. That's what that tends to be. Did I tell you Nike is committing $40 million over the next 4 years? Michael Jordan and the Jordan brand will donate $100 million to organizations ensuring racial equality over the next decade. And I'm still waiting on the details for the Magic Johnson. You know, his corporation, his insurance company, also pledged $100 million. So that's kind of the new news in terms of the unrest and the way that corporations are stepping up to support. Disney is also donating $5 million. Levi, Netflix, Peloton, Target, Apple, Intel, Lowe's, Anastasia Beverly Hills. So a lot of corporations are really stepping up and joining the African American community in support of the racism and the, that we've endured over all these years. Somebody said it was a result of us having to be home during the COVID pandemic. Everybody was at home watching TV and couldn't move for those 9 minutes. that officer was, and so now everybody they get it now because they really saw it up close. It's one thing to see a little grainy film about something happening to our brothers and sisters, but to be that up close and witness the death or murder. And somebody else also said that to see both of them in the same frame, the killer and the guy being killed in the same frame also. So a lot of things have been very impactful this past 2 weeks. Some beautiful protests of magnitude of a size that I've never seen, very rainbow, very global. And so I'm very, very hopeful. But of course, we all have to act. We've got to commit. We've got to demand. We've got to monitor. We've got to make sure that it's not lip service. So there's still lots of work to do, but I'm very hopeful by what I've experienced over the last 2 weeks. GLAAACC is also in the process of preparing its programs for the second half of the year. We've been spending a lot of time finding resources for our businesses during the first half, but for the second half now, we're going to get back into our programming of technical assistance. We're going to be, of course, focusing on access to capital, financial management, understanding contracts, learning more about your back office and HR, mentoring. We're going to do a lot of mentoring the second half of this year. And of course, now virtual marketing. And so folks are not going to be walking into your brick and mortar store. You're not going to be meeting your next client at a mixer. And so now how do you achieve all of that online in a virtual environment? And so again, that's kind of the commentary that I have for today. Thank you so much, Crystal, for asking me to join you. And I'm here to support any way that you need me. Thanks.
Thank you, Angela. And that was a lot that you talked about. And I agree. I think with us being home for 3 months, having time to reflect on life in a slowed down capacity, I think contributed to the overall impact of the civil unrest that's going on as well. And I think a lot of people have been injured. I know that many people haven't received unemployment as of yet. So economically, there are people still waiting for that. There are still people in the queue for the PPA. I just heard recently from someone yesterday that they're only up to March on completing applications in some instances. I've had several calls from individuals that had difficulty even getting their application into the queue because of the backlog. So with the number of people that are out there. So I'm always looking for silver linings. And so I have had to look for a silver lining for all of this. And so I would say the silver lining for us as a people and for racial inequality in this country has been COVID, because we had time to sit at home and really reflect on by ourselves and keeping ourselves occupied with webinars and television. And so when that did happen to George, because 2 weeks ago, something had happened to the other young man, and then Bianca the 2 weeks before, and not the same situation, right? But I think it had all culminated to a place that, wow, wait a minute, this is real. And so I'm hearing conversations from my Caucasian friends. I've been getting a lot of calls. What can we do? And so we really should have an answer when they call us. What can we do? Not a cursory answer. We should have a real answer for them. What can they do to equate change?
So Ava DuVernay suggests that you ask them to go get educated about racism. And I saw Areva Martin, our good friend, suggesting a number of books that they can use. I think one is a new brother that's just come out, don't be anti-racist, how not to be anti-racist. Mm-hmm. And then of course, starting with books like Roots. Mm-hmm. So there's, so when they ask you, can we do, first go get educated and then determine, then we each have to determine how we show up and contribute. But she said that's not for us to give them the answer to work out for them. That's real, soul work that you've got to do. Oh, okay. I see there's something down here about Magic Johnson's money.
Okay. Yeah, so I agree. So there's a lot of books out. I think there's a book that just came out called White Frailty that just populated. If you go to Amazon, they have all of the books right there on the front page so that you can select those. Also, Netflix, when you first open up, they have all of the movies that have pertained to racial injustice, death, and inequality with the prison system, with the legal system, period. So you recommend our friends to there. And then I have friends that are reaching out. The young people are reaching out from the tech world, and they want to spread messages. So I would say right now the message should be we should all be geared to vote. We have 5 months, and we should spend that time making sure, both on a national level and a local level, that the individuals are there for us, and that we're going to make some change. So just some of the things. So if you guys are asked that question, and we cannot be couch politicians now. We need to be all vocal, and we need to write to our Congress people. We need to write to our representatives and express our concerns, because overall it's about our children. That just bottom line, is about our kids. Oh, and the census is important. I'm sorry, I almost slept the census myself. So if you haven't completed the information about the census, please do that. Make sure our 18-year-olds are registering to vote. We have a lot of young college students or young people going off to college. Make sure your family members and your children are registered to vote, but don't just send them out there on their own. Educate them in responsible voting so that we can make sure that they understand. So with that, I am going to introduce our guest that's here today, and we are very honored. Mr. Brooks, thank you so much for agreeing to participate with us. Leon Brooks has served the private security industry for over 20 years. A former police officer, Mr. Brooks has received executive protection training from the Department of Justice, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, and the California Highway Patrol. And after spending multiple years on the police force protecting citizens, Leon followed his dream to protect VIP people, places, and facility. And he is the owner of one of the largest Black-owned security guard companies in California. Welcome, Mr. Brooks. We are so pleased to have you. Congratulations on your business and your career. So, enlighten us, Mr. Brooks.
Well, Crystal, first I want to thank you and Stephen for bringing me on to be able to speak to business owners, and that's what I always try to do, is to help other business owners to be aware. Crystal, I just heard you your last statement was that you talked about. Can you just state to me what the last thing you spoke about? Because I have something on that. I know what it was. DMV. If you don't have I think you guys are talking about making sure we be able to vote.
Yes,
right?
making sure our children are eligible to vote.
So they have to have California, you have to have your license has to be certified to be able to do that. That's how they're keeping some of the people out as far as being able to make them vote. They're sending out letters right now, stopping or actually getting the information from everyone on where they live at and if they actually live in California. So they're trying to do everything they can to get us to stop the vote. But I just want to make sure I put that out to everyone and say, hey, go take your ID, make sure it gets the stamp on the side to make sure it's called the real ID. Make sure your real ID is done so that you'll be a certified Californian and be able to vote. That's a freebie. That's one that just came this past week.
So that's really important now. Because I didn't do the real ID. I did the passport ID card, which from my understanding, it was it kind of superseded the real ID anyway, because it goes through the whole federal government. So, but yes, by all means. Now let me ask this question though: is the DMV back open so individuals that don't have their ID?
Actually, they're having you to do the mail-in now, and then they'll give you they'll have you have your time to be able to do that. But it also came at the same time that they're starting to open everything back up. So I would call over and get an appointment really quickly to make sure, call and do all the things you need to do. Do your due diligence, always do due diligence and do your part in finding out what you can do. So that's just a little, like I said, a little freebie, but thank you again.
No, that's an important freebie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I thank you for allowing me to come on today, because I'm very excited about the fact that we were able to have a lot of companies be able to get under the PPP that I was involved with. I started calling friends. I started calling everyone that I know at the beginning for us to be able to put in our PPP. I think it was a day after they made the announcement. So I was able to put that in, and me and a few of my friends were able to get the PPP. But then again, there's a backside of that. I think Crystal and Angela, we were talking about that. There's a backside of that that's really also you have to deal with. There's a lot of compliance as comes along with that, and that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about with the companies that's on the line. That you have to be prepared to be able to receive those, I would call those blessings, if you want to say.
Yes. Yes.
In order to do it, they're not going to just give it to us. You have to be able to qualify for it, and in qualifying for it doesn't mean that you have to have a certain amount, but everyone has a qualification stage in their business to be able to receive those types of blessings that come about, like we did with the PPP. Another main thing is that the COVID, what the COVID did was it made us revisited our safety plans, because most of the companies that I've seen so far that has been bounced back out was that they didn't have a viable safety plan for their employees to be able to go to work. What happened is that my company, along with a couple other companies, we have not stopped. Matter of fact, we're continuing in the work. It just our work changed as well as everybody else's. It's just our work was able to be able to go to the internal operations of the airport to keep the airport up and running, and to make sure that the Metro and all of the agencies that we work for is running. That's the blessing that came about with my company, was that I was able to get in with Metro and with the airport, Los Angeles Work Airport and Ontario Airport, keeping their safety programs and all their employees safe. What that meant was we got to keep them safe from us because we had to have the distancing taken care of, and we had to make sure that everyone that was coming to work was actually safe and it was not sick, because a lot of people didn't know that they were sick. Everybody went through all of those stages. Some people had people that were sick, didn't know they were sick, and we had to send them home. And then we found out that they did have COVID, and then we had to keep them distanced from us for 14 days. And then that made everyone that came to work, we had to send them and get them tested. I think 3 or 4 of my employees were kind of tired. My employees are kind of tired of it because we had to go get tested, 4 or 5 times because of the different things that was going on. So those things, the safety plan, the operational plan that you have to start on that now. I think Crystal's saying it. Don't wait till, or Angela was saying it. Actually, Angela said for GLAAACC, because I went to GLAAACC probably about 20 years ago, and GLAAACC is the one that sent me to start my my federal side of the work that we received, and they helped me to get all my programs together, my HR. Of course, I have a full HR team now, but before I had to get the HR, I had to do that on my own. It was in a software program at the time, and then now you have to also make sure that you have all of your clients if you're going to get into the business of working with the Metros and the LAACC, you have to have all your insurances and everything. Start doing that now. Start looking for the bank that's going to be your friend. And you build a relationship with that bank. I mean, a real relationship, because I think that's the reason why my PPP came through, was because I had a great relationship with my bank. And they called me directly and said, hey, we have something for you. You want to make sure you want it. So when they told me how much they were going to give me, I said, is that something that you joking about, or if it's for real? They said, oh, it's for real. So I was able to get my PPP, and but it's not a easy process either. Getting the money doesn't mean that it's easy. It makes you have to do more and more compliance, dealing with the HR, making sure that we bring back, if you had to let go of any of your employees, you have to bring back those employees first and do all those things. You have to have everything in place to be able to move your business forward. I know that we have a few people on now that I believe that has service businesses. So the service businesses are really doing well as far as the COVID, because that's the side of the business, that's the side of COVID that continue to operate. Most of the other businesses could not continue to operate because they had to have everything in place first, like the restaurants. There's no way that you could sit, you have 6 feet away from each other and different things like that. So they had to figure out how they were going to do that. You see what they did with the NBA and the sports. There's no way they can distance themselves from that. So those are the types of things that we have to think about. And I would encourage you to do it now for the next pandemic or the next situation we're going to have, so that you'll be ready to be able to operate in that if you're going to continue your business. So I think Crystal and Angela, it'd be better if I was to speak towards. I start right in. I probably don't know who I am, you know, and I try to make sure I just bless other people. I'm not into thinking about what Leon Brooks is doing and how Leon Brooks is. I'm more worried about how everybody else's business is doing and how we can help them to get ahead. So if you want to, Crystal, you can actually start on the questions. If anybody has any questions at all for me, and maybe I can help them that way. We can talk about the PPP. Those of you know, I was in law enforcement, and also for those of you that are in the Christian world, I am a pastor, one of Bishop Almer's pastors over at Faithful Central, and I also support the 88th Street Church of God in Christ with Pastor Anthony L. Williams. That's something that I'm actually doing as well. That's my, hey, how you guys say it? That's my side job.
That's your side hustle. Wait, that's a good side hustle.
Yeah, people's lives are saved, yes. So Crystal, if you want to, you can have people start asking questions, or you can go to the question section if you want to, and then I can definitely bless them by being able to tell them how certain things were done, and we can talk about the civil unrest. I mean,
let's talk about that, because I think even as we start opening up our businesses, there are things that we're going to have to be cognizant of, and from a security standpoint. So one of the questions was, from a business point of view, what is your view on the? Let me try to make sure I can. I'm looking at 2 windows. Hold on 1 second. Let me put these 2 people in. Not on the defunding of the Los Angeles Police Department and others around the nation. How does that affect us as businesses? Because even though we have some major concerns with some of the individuals that are actually on the police force, we do need the police. So how do we, as a Black community, as Black business owners, how do we forge a working relationship that's safe and helps us at the same time?
Well, I can speak towards that right away. I can actually say to you that I believe that, let me get it out front, that I don't believe that we should take away the police departments. I believe that we should restructure them to be able to do the job that they're supposed to do out there when you're helping to be able to help criminals. What do you do with the calls that you're making for people who are robbing banks and people who are hurting people out there? You have so many different other elements to our job that's being done that can still be done. But as far as I do think that they should take some type of steps that they're doing, as far as if it takes to defund them to be able to put them back, restructure them, I'm all for it, because I was never for what happened to George. I was always in the middle of, when I was there at the police department, I was always in the middle of getting officers off of people who were hurting the person, and of course they could not most of the officers were smaller and they could not handcuff the person. So I would move them off the person and I would handcuff them so they wouldn't hurt the person. So there's things that's going on out there that people don't know. And there are a lot of criminals out there. So
yeah, there are.
There are a lot of people out there that's doing bad things. And until that happens to someone's house or someone's car or someone's family, then they'll start thinking about how they would want the police department to come back to assist them. But we do need to get all of the people who are have other mindsets to hurt people out there or to wear their swastikas on their uniforms while they're working. Those types of things need to be resolved right away.
Okay, I'm too against possibly the defunding, but I think I think the issues are one that the unions have too much power, and that doesn't give the officers or the commanding bosses, so to speak, to command and instruct and control the officers that work for them. I also think that there's mental illness and drug abuse and alcohol abuse and steroid abuse that is creating some of the rage within them. And then there needs to be community policing. What are your feelings on those issues?
There's two things I want to say about the mental illness. Probably, I would say 60% of the people that I had to arrest or I had to get involved with had some type of mental illness. And you can actually, me being a pastor helped a lot, knowing, because I've gone through all that training, seeing the person, knowing that person is not, really trying to hurt someone. Of course, if they have a weapon or something like that, that's different. But you have mental illness out there that you have, that we're responding to, that those people are hurting their families, and those people that's having those type of issues needs to have continue to take their meds, because it's mainly taking their meds. Most of them already have gone through a treatment program, have already been assessed, and they know that they need to take their medicine. When they don't, is when we have issues with them on the street. And it's really dangerous out there when we have to get involved with them, because they don't know the difference between stop and stop. So, so we try to make sure that when I was out there, we just tried to make sure we didn't hurt them, because we knew that they were having a situation. We try to make sure they didn't hurt themselves and they didn't hurt others. So if that's the case, then that's what I would like to see, those changes in the laws, to saying that how we're going to move up. I think I just seen one come across the screen saying that they're going to change it to make sure that officers de-escalate first.
Yes.
If you start thinking about de-escalation first, then your mindset is not on striking them. Because I'm telling you right now that all of them are trained to get back home to your family. So when they say get home back to their family, that means differently for everyone, because you gotta. I'm 6'4" and 290 pounds. I could take almost any man or woman down if I wanted to put them, to handcuff them. But you got some officers out there that's 5'8", 5'7", 160 pounds, that someone would come out there and they would seriously hurt them. So we can't let the officers get hurt as well. So.
Okay, there's really more of a comment, I guess, from a Tim Jones in our audience, and he says, "I am from Camden, New Jersey originally. The Camden Police Department, and I read this yesterday as well, was disbanded and reorganized under the county, and he has his first cousin. It was and still is a police officer. The city has problems, but the policing has gotten better. What's your opinion on that? Disbanding the police department and rehiring?
Well, not so much disbanding, but more so restructuring what they need to do, because the issues out on the street are still the same. Those are not going to change.
Okay.
So we still have to have officers out there to be able to take care of those street issues. So I would say, see, because again, disbanding means that you just took a, like they did now, just so you guys don't know, they voted for the school police to be disbanded. The UTLA just voted favorably for them not to have school police anymore. So what does that mean? So 480 people just lost their job. Families just been destroyed just like that, the same way that we're talking about. So you have to be careful when you say that, or you need to set something up prior to disbanding or prior to removing them, because we're having the same issues that we would have if they were still working. Because if they were still working, then you're saying that the officer is coming and they're stopping others from doing what they're supposed to do, and what they're supposed to do is crime. Well, that's what we're there for. But when we're talking about for the officers, if you're talking about disbanding them, then how are you going to allow them to be able to have a job or be able to take care of their families? So you have to think about all those things prior to everyone saying, okay, let's go ahead and do this, without going and having a sit down and restructure it. They have ways of restructuring it right now to be able to help the cities and the communities right now, and be able to also help the officers.
Well, I definitely think there are other issues that go on at schools that do require policing to be there, because we do have other issues there. Do you think training and maybe what else? Training is the answer, or seeing us seeing people as human? Because I think somewhere along the line we didn't lost some communication between everyone looking like a perpetrator and those that are looking for help. Because, to be quite honest, I'm a very law-abiding citizen, but I'd be real apprehensive calling the police to help me right now.
Well,
in the atmosphere we're in.
That's a community issue that we've had. I'm a retired police officer now, and they pull me over.
Okay.
and they is not us.
Right, exactly.
Who pulls me over because I live in a neighborhood that they don't want me in. So they pull me over and ask me questions. And the first thing I do is identify myself. And I do the same thing that I told my children to do as they were growing up. You put your hands on that steering wheel and you wait for that officer to give you instructions. Once that officer gives you the instructions, then you say to the officer, I even told my kids to tell them, hey, my father is a police officer as well, and I would love to do everything that you asked me to do, but please do it in a manner that I can be safe.
Mm. Angela, you had a question for Leon? Is she frozen? Hello, Angela. So while she unfreezes, yeah, exactly. I know, we teach kids how to play tennis at Harvard Park. And so we have community policing over there. So the police officers come every Saturday.
Take somebody's life, and you know that. You muted, Crystal.
Sorry about that, my internet popped out. Did you have a question?
No, I see some questions in the chat room about business structure.
Okay.
And we all know that Mr. Brooks is a very successful businessman. Leon, can you tell us how important was it? What was the question here in the chat box? How important was it for your corporate structure in terms of your banking? I know there are a lot of sole proprietors.
Sure.
There's conversations about being LLC or an S corporation. Or can you shed a little light on that for us?
Sure. First, you want to know what industry you're in and what's the best vehicle to take for your industry to do if you're going to be corporation or LLC. Then you want to also make sure that you know how many employees you're going to have, or if you're going to have employees. So then that helps you to understand what direction you go. But the main thing is that you need to go to sit with these agencies that we have out there. We have NAMC. NAMC takes the person and take them from from when you first start your business all the way up until now. I'm an NAMC member, and I'm actually on the board now too, to be able to assist and help other companies to do that. GLAAACC is out there if you're going to do anything. I always say GLAAACC is excellent for federal contracts. If you want to do a federal
right,
you just go and sit under GLAAACC for a year, and I promise you those contracts will start coming in because you'll understand what it takes to be able to do that, because you must have your insurance in place in order for you to do that. Your insurance, which is 3 areas, which is workers' comp and G&L, and you want to have insurances to protect you from your employees. Believe it or not, your employees like you right now, but they find a way to go home and sit home and do nothing. They will find a way to use up your insurance.
Okay, I see another question here about the EIDL loan. Leon, did you get PPP money, and did you apply or get any funding from the EIDL from the other pockets?
Yeah, I've received 2 of the 3 that I applied for. I received the PPP and I received the EDIL. And they just told me that I was approved for my SBA.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent. How many employees do you have, Leon?
Now we have 168.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah, we have to get back up to 220.
Okay, that's where you were before COVID?
Yeah, right before COVID, we had streamlined our company to be able to handle our clients in a different manner, which would help the client in their cost factor. So we actually helped them, and we went from 360 employees down to 220 in doing that.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Angela.
I have another question about being an entrepreneur. And Leon, can you just share a little bit about, what do you think some of the top characteristics of a real successful entrepreneur are? I know that you can go and get a class and learn how to do HR and policy and financial. Now you've got all this technical assistance, but at the end of the day, what do you think it really takes to be a successful entrepreneur?
You have to take time and know that what your passion is, and don't waste time on things that's not your area of expertise. I see people reaching for things because it is making a lot of money right now, or it's helping to. I mean, that's the thing right now. Like right now, I would say, like you said, Amazon is a thing right now because that's where everybody. Amazon. So that's the thing right now, but that's not what your expertise is. So then put your time in for your area of expertise, and then you'll be able to one day say, I'm the Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah. So you put yourself in that position to do that. I just received a call today. It was amazing. I'm telling you, the government is opening back up, you guys. Everybody's opening back up, and they're going to look for companies that's still alive and still out there, and they need you. They need you.
So what would you recommend for moving forward? What should companies be doing right now and to get to a position where they're thriving and not just surviving? You've been in business for a while. You have employees. What are some of the steps you would recommend for a business to start focusing on today?
Right now, if you have a small business right now, you have, I think, 20 more days? Is it, you guys, for the PPP?
Yes.
They have money out there right now that you can go get, you guys, but you have to be able to do that application and be truthful on that application, because they're going to check. They're going to check and verify that you have the amount of employees you say you have. They're also going to check your last tax returns and everything. So just have your tax returns ready. If you don't have 2 to 3 years tax returns, these types of programs you might not be able to be a part of, or you might not receive the money for. But there are other programs out there. I think Angela just listed, I wrote down 16 of different things that she said it was out there. Because even I myself, I'm going to call the people. When I go back over to Bishop, I'm going to tell Bishop that he needs to send application out to these locations because he's a nonprofit. The nonprofits needs to send the stuff that they need to send to the nonprofits. The for-profits needs to send the stuff to the people like the government right now, who's giving money. I think she said Nike is giving something, and Bank of America and FedEx. You know, put in for those, because that would help you. You're starting to put yourself together. You must have your finances together before you do anything. I made sure my finances was in place before I started my business. I made sure that in the early parts I was doing the factoring because I needed someone to come alongside me to help me. That 2.1% that they were charging me was nothing compared to what I was making from the contracts. So you have to be able to put together a packet. Your package, I think Angela said, make it look good, but I mean, you have to practice on your package, sending it out. Today, I'm sending out 3 of them tomorrow. So I'm just, I mean, I'm sending these right now. I'm preparing, once I knew I had to be on this call, I'm preparing 3 packets to go out tomorrow for us. We still are going after contracts. I put in for the bid for the Los Angeles Police Department's contract. And I put that in so I could be able to help them to go and actually to have my guys. 'Cause my guys already trained the way that I do it. They de-escalate first in protecting themselves and making sure that they're being safe, and the other people are being safe as well. And it's the way to handle that, the way to do that. I'm not the one-all trainer. I have people coming in training my people that I know what they're doing. So that's another thing. You make sure that if you're a service company, that you have your people trained on how to handle the public.
So that's excellent. So basically what you're saying, if you have certain skill sets that can be the solution to some of the problems, this is the time for them to put their packages together and become a certified business owner, because that's what you are, right? And go out there and seek a lot of the opportunities that's going to be available to everyone.
There's some things out there that your package can really handle right now, but you looking at it and saying, well, it's not out there. Well, it's not out there because you ain't put it out there. If you put it out there, they'll grab it. I'm telling you, there's 2 things that's going on right now that I just got involved with. I'm telling you that's going to resolve a lot of the school issues and all those different things that we're putting a package out there. We're praying that package works, and if it works, it's going to be a blessing for others down the line. So hopefully the business that you have in your mind, start thinking about it. Call, like I said, call GLAAACC, call NAMC, and start talking about your business so that can get out and everybody can say, hey, we have a business over here that does this. Can that business help you? Then you start getting to be a part of everyone's line of sight. I went to Metro's meetings for 6 years before I got a contract with Metro. And then after I got a contract with Metro, I went to Metro's meetings every day. Every day I could find a meeting to go to, I found a meeting for them to go to so that I can learn more and more about them. And now that we're working for them and we understand them and they understand us, now they can see how we can be a blessing to their company to be able to help them that maybe someone else didn't do.
So basically, if we have to do an overview, get your structure together, get all your insurances and your documentations together, have your finances in great shape, your taxes done, and then go out and network. Is that pretty much your advice?
Yes, that's my advice. Add one more thing to that. It's called a capability statement.
Yes.
The capability statement, if you want to see a sample, if you want, just call me, I'll send you my capability statement. You can just mimic my capability statement and put your stuff on there. I promise you'll get a job.
All right.
Doing this, you're giving them, I see Bianca on here.
Yeah,
Bianca Lewinsky. Oh my God. She'll be able to tell you, she'll be able to bless you guys with a lot of knowledge on what we did. Me and Bianca went and sat Bianca was over there in the agency that we used to go sit and do the meetings at over.
Is it SBA?
SBA, the SBA, yeah, we went and sat in the SBA meetings, and we just sat there, and we used to ask each other questions. What did you hear from that? What did you hear from that? Because the stuff that Bianca hear, I definitely didn't hear. So she taught me how to do certain things just because I didn't hear that. My ear wasn't tuned to that. So you'll have other people tuned to different things, then you can go out there and you can be able to be blessed by that.
So and so that the next one is creating an alliance and a collaboration within your own community and helping each other. Is that the other piece?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. As I look on your list here, I have a few people on here that knows how to go after it. They go after it. I mean, I see Miss Billups on there too. I mean,
yeah, Miss Billups is on there, and definitely Robin know how to go after stuff.
If you attach yourself to certain people and you just listen to what they say, because they have a specialty. Steve, that's how I got with Steven. Steven has a specialty that's going to bless my company, especially if we go after and if we win these other two contracts that's out there that I'm going after. He's the one that's the one that's going to be putting my insurance package together to make sure that we are protected. That means that my company is protected, my family is protected, and my employees are protected across the board. So if you find someone who does the type of business that you need, insurances, banking, you have banks out there. I won't say it online right here because I never try to promote the banks, because there's certain banks that are friendly and certain banks that's not.
Right.
And I'll leave that alone.
Okay.
So I'll let you speak.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brooks. I'm going to put out a request to everyone, because there's a number of individuals that have such a wealth of knowledge. Starting July 6th, I am teaching a virtual biz camp for youth between the ages of 13 and 18, and we're teaching them how to become entrepreneurs. I need mentors to pop in to say hello to the kids. We need some speakers to talk to the kids about creating and working for themselves. I am very excited. We have 25 kids brand new to entrepreneurship, and then we have 15 kids that have a business idea, and we want to help them get their business launched. So I need mentors to help and speakers for that group. So if you are interested, please reach out to me. It would be so valuable for our young people to meet and to hear what you have to say, because you have been through the trenches, you've started your own business, so your wisdom to them would be invaluable. We have to look at the next generation, and that's our young people. So if you are interested and available, please, by all means, reach out to me, and I'll send you over the application or the link so you can sign up. Starts July 6th, and it's for the entire month of July to the 31st. The kids are going to compete for a prize of $750, $500, $250. We pay $350. We pay the kids to attend the camp, and so we would love to have you join us. And it's virtual, so you don't have to leave your office. Just maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes at best, dedicated to an online workshop class. So would love that. Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Angela, thank you.
Thank you.
And Angela, if you'll put in GLAAACC's information, Mr. Brooks, if you can put in how we can reach you. Anyone have any questions? I'm going to send out the recording and then with the chat information so that you can reach out to them. But we do appreciate you taking your time. Congratulations on your business, and congratulations in advance for those big projects that you're getting ready to go after. So we're at 12:01, and we want to thank you. Angela, did you want to have any closing remarks there?
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you for assisting. Stephen, thank you for producing and bringing all the bodies together. The goal of this community organization, this community briefing, is to bring us all together in unity. And I think we're on a good pathway to making that happen, because one voice multiplied by how many is it? 40-something million Black people in the United States. We'd have a place in this country if we all united together and became one. So thank you guys. See you next week.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you.